What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we're here for AEW on TNT Review. I'm trying for the fourth time to record this on my phone because my recording device has been really messing up on me, so I'm trying something else. But this is the opening round of the title elimination tournament between 8 men to see who will become the next #1 contender for the AEW Championship after Full Gear, as the finals will be taking place at Full Gear. Warlord takes on Jungle Boy, Hangman Page takes on Colt Cabana, Ray Phoenix versus Pentagon Jr., and a replacement for Joey Janela, who, we'll talk about that in a bit, takes on Kenny Omega in the first round, who will move on, and what are my thoughts on who's going to win it? We'll talk about that here later. And we start with Warlord versus Jungle Boy, and this was a really good match. Jungle Boy did everything he could. Warlord just beats on him. He gets back up. Warlord is Jungle Boy is doing everything he can to get this guy down. He's getting some opportunities to get the win, get the pin, and it just doesn't work out for him. So in the end, we have an F10 on the outside. F10 was on the ramp. F10 inside. 1, 2, 3. And Jungle Boy loses to Warlord. And I kind of figured that Warlord was going to win this match. I just didn't see a reason for him to lose in this form of fashion. We'll talk about, he's in my opinion, he's not going to the main event or to the finals. I'll talk about who his opponent is later on. But yeah, that was that. Last week we see the footage we missed from Kingston's rant on Jon Moxley, saying you left us behind as you went to the sports entertainment land. Moxley's he went off to make millions for an entertainer. Kingston told Moxley to enjoy this title. Look at me. Look at this. Look at this. Like, open your eyes. Damn it. Look at this. Because I'm going to take this from you and make you quit. Quit the wrestling business and quit this for this title. And at Full Gear, you will have an I Quit match. Moxley demands the match that Moxley demanded. Moxley later cut a promo and says he used to love Eddie Kingston. He was loyal. He was strong. He was one of the best guys he's ever met, but he doesn't know this guy. He doesn't know this Eddie Kingston. This guy's a crybaby. He's a whiner. He's a snake. A piece of shit. Which he didn't say that, but that's what he is. It's what he's pretty much referencing. Moxley says he will verbally make him submit by quitting, and he won't have anyone else to blame but himself. As I said earlier, Joey Janela was removed from tonight's show because of somebody contracted COVID who he was in contact with over the last 7 days. So they pulled him from the show, and Joey Janela is not here, so they put Sonny Kiss in his place. Now, before the match, Kenny Omega got some new entrants. We got 2 beautiful women in boots, bikinis, and brooms, sweeping around the heel side of the thing. They're just sweeping back and forth. Kenny Omega's music hits. Justin Roberts leads this long list of accomplishments for Kenny Omega. There's a silhouette of him with a covering on the babyface side of the ramp. It comes down. He comes out. They raise their brooms in an X. And Kenny Omega comes down. And this match did not last more than maybe 35 seconds. V-trigger into a what do you call it? The one-wing angel. 1, 2, 3, and Kenny Omega moves on, and he has the smuggest look on his face as this happens, as if, did you expect anything else? Seriously, did you expect anything else? So Kenny Omega moves on, and Kenny Omega will take on Pentagon Jr. or Ray Phoenix next week. That's going to be a hell of a match, whoever he takes on, and we'll talk about it later. Now, Kenny Omega, I've not really seen much the cleaner. I saw Alpha versus Omega, but he really wasn't the cleaner anymore. I know by that time in New Japan, he was trying to get away from the cleaner. He didn't want to be the cleaner anymore. They wanted him to be the cleaner, but he wanted to get away from that and change his character. I mean, when the Elite started, when they started doing BTE and all that, he really didn't want to be the cleaner anymore. So I don't know if I've actually seen the actual cleaner that we used to see that they used to see in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, what's going to be different? What is the difference between Kenny Omega 2020 and Kenny Omega the cleaner? Well, 2019 to 2020, and then Kenny Omega the cleaner. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below because I don't have a clue. So we'll see what happens next week when he takes on his opponent. Earlier in the day, Tony Schiavone spoke with Orange Cassidy about his minutes time limit draw against AEW champion Cody, and he said sometimes guys go your way, sometimes they don't, and that Henry will take on each other next week. Now, also, Cody talked to Dasha Gonzalez, who stopped him at the in the parking lot and asked him, "What is your thoughts on the rematch you're going to be having next week?" And he's like, "I'm not surprised that there's a rematch. I'm just surprised how fast they're wanting to do this." Well, in my opinion, they're doing this rematch because AEW announced that Darby Allin gets the title shot at Full Gear, and they want a definitive winner. They didn't get that on this last week, so they're going to put a stipulation on this. He's not surprised that they do, but he said it himself. He has to beat me. I don't have to beat him, and he didn't get the job done last time. So what's going to make this time any different? We'll talk about that here in a bit. Cassidy says I'm sorry, wrong one. He doesn't see Cassidy getting the job done, as we know. He says, and Dr. Gonzalez does bring up the fact that he has been he put on 14 pounds during his time away. Cody says he's looking to keep himself in the heavyweight shape as he's taken down Brody Lee, Lance Archer, Wardlow. He is pretty much a giant killer. And he wants to make sure that he can keep that strength up. Now, backstage, we hear from Eddie Kingston, who talks about his match with Jon Moxley. See if I can get this queued up here.
Pentagon and Phoenix, they're in the #1 contenders tournament for the World Heavyweight Championship. They're going to go out there next, ladies and gentlemen, and they're going to show you why they're the best to ever come out of Mexico. Why they are the best luchadors ever to do it. Then you have the Butcher and the Blade with the beautiful Bunny. Later tonight, they're going to knock out all the tag teams in that four-way, and then they're going to go and take on FTR. And after they're done with the FTR guys, guess what? You may make a phone call to your old bosses and beg them to have you come back. Speaking of entertainers and old bosses, let's get a little reality here. John, what you said in that was all true. But here's my response. I had to turn that way. I had to become bitter and angry and a snake and a liar and this and that. Do you think I look at myself in the mirror now? No. I hate who I've become. But I've had to become this. I had to become a liar. I had to get underneath their skin because my ends justified my means. Because when I wasn't playing the game, when I wasn't a snake, I got nothing. But now, I'm getting the World Heavyweight Championship shot.
On pay-per-view.
In an I Quit match. I never quit at nothing in my life. And I'm not going to quit on the 7th, John. You're going to have to go to a really, really deep, dark place. And you know what? I live in that place.
And that is the words of Eddie Kingston himself. I could try and give you what Eddie Kingston said through my own mouth, but I just couldn't do it right. Eddie Kingston is he's top tier. He is top tier when it comes to his promos, big time. Rey Fénix versus Penta El for the next round of the 8 to get to the next round to take on Kenny Omega. This was awesome. This was a great match. This was one of those matches that it's like, man, I really, really, really hope this is not the last time we see these guys in a match in AEW. And I really, really, really hope that next time it's going to be for a title and it's going to be on pay-per-view. Maybe Revolution. When they take on each other for the TNT Championship. One of them can beat Cody or whoever beats Cody for the championship and give us that match for the TNT Championship. I would love it. You had Spanish Flies. You had a Canadian Destroyer to get the win for Pentagon for Phoenix. You had Pentagon snapping his brother's arm back. A chop off between those two. My God, that chop from Pentagon was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Then you had a Spanish Fly, as I said. You had Phoenix using Hurricane Rana to his brother from the top turnbuckle to the floor, and it looked like he rattled himself. Do you know that movie that I think is Dirty Dancing, one of those movies where the woman jumps to the guy in his waiting arms and he lifts her up and does that twirl with her? Well, they started to do that, but instead of twirling him around, he flipped him up in the air. Pentagon did the Phoenix, and he powerbombed him. Pentagon couldn't win with that, but it was crazy. I'm going to say I've been watching wrestling for about 27 years? No, 23 years. 23 years watching professional wrestling, 1997, 1998. 23 to 28 years. And I've never seen somebody do that. But yes, in the end, Pentagon Jr. snaps his brother's arm, and instead of going for the kill and getting the win, he stops, sees his brother's in pain, and I'm going to win this and to go on to face Kenny Omega next week, and I'm going to be the next number one contender, that all washed away, and he let his emotions get to him. Phoenix took advantage, spun around him, hit a Canadian Destroyer, in one sequence, 1, 2, 3, and he beat his brother, and it was awesome. If you see anything this week, that's the match you need to see. It was awesome. Backstage, Alex Marquez with Dark Order's Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Colt Cabana. They hype up their matches tonight. In the end, John Silver does say that they're going to win all the championships. They're going to be the tag team champions. Colt Cabana is going to be the world champion. And Mr. Brody Lee is going to win the TNT championship. And I'm thinking, wouldn't Brody Lee want to be the world champion and he can have Colt Cabana win the TNT championship? What the fuck? I'm surprised Brody Lee's not happy he wasn't in that spot. Why give it to Colt Cabana? Why wouldn't Brody Lee take that and say, well, I'm bigger than the TNT championship. I'm going to have Colt go for it, 5 or 10 go for it. I don't know. But John Silver also made a threat to the TNT Championship match next week that they are going to come for him and they're going to beat the piss out of everybody. Hangman Page versus Colt Cabana. This is the final first round match of the the AEW tournament match to see who will be the next number one contender. Colt Cabana and Hangman Page have themselves a pretty decent match. Colt Cabana continues outsmarting Hangman Page here and there. Hangman Page tries to go for the buckshot a couple times. There was a scary moment in the match with Hangman trying to go up to the top turnbuckle, and probably for his moonsault to the outside. Colt Cabana shoves him off, and he lands back first onto the apron, then to the floor. That was brutal. I think it was JR or Tony Schiavone says, "Oh, this match is over. This match is over. It's done a deal." But in the end, Colt Cabana gets faked with the buckshot lariat being faked out, and he gets hit with it. 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page wins. After the match, all the Dark Order come in, and I think, oh, here we go. They're going to beat down Hangman Page, and it's going to be an easy cakewalk for Warlord. But no, they go over to the fallen associate, and they help him up, which even Excalibur found that to be very shocking. Recap of the rivalry between Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. We see tons of photos of Matt Hardy in what looks to be blood with the words delete written all over him. Then Sammy says it's not over until he sends Matt home for good, as he lights a photo of Matt in front of his home with the numbers 11/7/2020 on the top of it. So this match will be happening, they say, at Full Gear, but it's a elite delete match. And all delete matches happen on the Hardy compound. So it would be a crying shame if AEW said we're going to have the elite delete match at Jacksonville and not pre-taped in at the Hardy compound. Taz, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks are on stage. Taz says he made an offer to Will Hobbs to join the group, but has yet to hear back. He better think quick, or it won't end well for him. Because I don't want to have to sick the Cage on you again. Cage says, "Remember, man, who better?" Then he says he went past Tony Khan. He walked past Tony Khan today, and Tony asked him into his office. He tells Taz if Stark would have beaten Allen a couple weeks ago, he would have had that TNT title shot at Full Gear, which I like the fact that they do tie in the fact that why Darby Allin's getting a title shot, because he didn't challenge for him, and it was an open challenge for Full Gear. So, yeah, there you go. Taz asks, what's the guy, Taz says Stark has won 9 of his 10 matches and lost to some lame finish. What did these guys get? Stark feels like he's proven his worth, but keeps getting the rug pulled out from under him. Someone is going to pay for what happened, and it's going to be Darby. Stark says next time they cross paths, he's putting Allen in the grave. And then, this will be the most talked about thing on the night. Chris Jericho and MJF meeting for steak dinner. They meet up and they order steak well done. Order plays the same, but he wants it medium well. MJF switches up to medium. Jericho goes medium rare. MJF wants it rare. Jericho says it's cooked blue, extra bloody rare. Jericho then asks MJF what are they doing here. MJF has been rude to everyone tonight. Said there's a town hall meeting next week with the inner circle to see what people think about MJF joining the group. Jericho doesn't like the MJF's rating ruler nickname. It gets all over. It'll get all over about as much as about the same time they say Orange Cassidy, and they laugh. They both laugh. Then they say they're already getting over their differences. The two suddenly break out into a Rat Pack song, "My Shadow and Me," by Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. So yes, we're in the middle of an AEW show. I wish I could play the music, but I guarantee you this would hit me with a copyright claim. So I'm not even going to do that, even though I'm not a big channel, so I'm not. But I don't want to get hit with a copyright claim or strike or whatever. But yeah, they start a musical number. And if you go onto the YouTube page, it says, Tony Award nominee Chris Jericho and MJF, me and my shadow. They changed their lines a little bit for themselves, but I guarantee AEW would hit me with a copyright claim if I played it. They sing, they dance, they do all this stuff before making their way back to their table as the stakes survive. Both are incredibly rare, aka they probably took them out. They took them out, put them on the grill, waited a few seconds, flipped it again, and then put it back and put them out there and said, there you go. They decide to send them back, calling the server at the same time. And that is what we get for the steak dinner. Was it what we expected? Probably not. It's not what I expected. Let me know what you thought about the steak dinner, because out of anything, and by the way, if that's MJF's actual singing voice, this motherfucker is in the wrong business, because he should be on Broadway making money, which I know, of course, Broadway's probably not doing a performance right now because of the scamdemic, but when Broadway is able to go back up and running, this motherfucker should be out there singing show tunes and doing these performances, because the dude, if that's his actual singing voice, holy shit. He's fucking good. Which wouldn't surprise me. It'd just be another thing that MJF's good at. Britt Baker with Rebel versus Hyling King. Britt Baker wins this one in about 3 minutes. Britt Baker did a terrible sling blade, terrible DDT, spinning fisherman neckbreaker, stomp. She did do a good curb stomp. I think she's been hanging out. I think her and Adam Cole have been hanging out with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch lately. Don't know. Don't care. But yeah, she gets a glove, applies the lockjaw, gets a submission win. Not fun. Not good at all. Then we get next week's show, which will be Cody versus Orange Cassidy, and it is a lumberjack match after John Silver was stupid, and this should piss off Brody Lee. He was stupid enough to mention that, hey, we're going to be there next week to ruin this match. It's a lumberjack match, and I fucking hate lumberjack matches. I hate them. They always have the same thing. People get thrown outside, they get beat up, they get sent back in. Then before the match, right as we go to the finish, around the finish time, everybody on the outside starts brawling, starts fighting, with the Dark Order coming in. This could be Brody Lee's way to screw Cody Rhodes and get the title to Orange Cassidy. So we have Orange Cassidy versus Darby Allin at the pay-per-view. And it's terrible because the referee will get distracted because of everything going on outside. Some shenanigans happen, and then the match ends. I hate fucking lumberjack matches. They are so badly done everywhere. It's not because it's a WWE show or anything. I hate lumberjack matches in WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor. If New Japan did one, which I highly doubt they're going to do a lumberjack match. But anywhere a lumberjack match is done, I can't stand it. So, we have Warlord versus Hangman Page, Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix, the Town Hall Inner Circle, and Tay Conti will be taking on Abaddon. That match should have been on this show compared to Britt Baker versus Kylan King. I have nothing against Kylan King. I think they should sign her and put her on the track to winning matches over Britt Baker. Then we go to Jackass star Steve-O with Darby Allin for his latest stunt. He gets a body bag, goes on top of a ramp, a half-pipe ramp, and says, "My name's Darby Allin, and this is body bag roll." And then rolls off and falls hard down onto the ramp. Steve-O asks him, is he good? Allin says he's winning that TNT title. And we go from there. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Darby Allin is a combination, and I've heard other people say this, a combination of Crow Sting and Jeff Hardy. Definitely. 100%. He's got the face paint and the demeanor of Crow Sting, but the daredevilness of Jeff Hardy. So, yeah. And I don't know, I would love to hear what Darby Allin thinks about people saying that, because I've heard other people say it. But yeah, Jeff Hardy, if you took half of Jeff Hardy and half of Sting and mashed them together, you would have Darby Allin. Just saying. I mean, back when Crow Sting was going on, and before Crow Sting, when Sting was Sting, little kids were walking around or at these WCW events with his face paint on. So now you have kids dressing up like Darby Allin before we hit the scamdemic. They might be doing it now too, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we've actually seen a couple of Darby Allin kids in the crowd at Jacksonville. Yeah, Darby Allin is definitely the reincarnation or the 2020 version of Jeff Hardy / Sting. Young Bucks versus Alex Reynolds and John Cena of the Dark Order versus Private Party versus The Butcher and The Blade. Whenever we get a World Tag Team title shot against FTR at Full Gear. And the Bunny, out of no fucking reason, has rejoined The Butcher and The Blade. After leaving The Butcher and The Blade for absolutely no fucking reason to do the Nightmare Sisters, honestly, I think the only reason they took Allie away from the Butcher and The Blade is because they needed to do something with Brandy Rhodes for a bit. So they made them a reluctant tag team. And honestly, I thought she was going to be the one to break up the Natural Nightmares, but that got dropped until yesterday on Dark, where Eddie Kingston reintroduced her as the Bunny. And here she is. She is now part of the tag team division with these guys. She has rejoined them. FTR is on commentary. This match is all over the place. It's a fatal 4-way. And AEW, for whatever reason, went back to having 2 individuals in the ring at the same time, and that's it, not one from each team, which is so stupid. I cannot stand it. But it's a fatal 4-way. You don't have DQs in fatal 4-ways in triple threat matches. What's the fucking point of having a normal tag team match in a fatal 4-way or a triple threat match? Can someone explain that one to me? Because even if, John Silver comes in while Matt is taking on Isaiah Cassidy, if he comes in and starts brawling with those two, the referee's not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ring the bell, he's the DQ. No. If it's an elimination match, yes, you're going to have DQs and just count out to disqualifications because that eliminates somebody. But it's a no DQ, so I don't understand why they don't jump in there and start beating the hell out of each other. Fatal 4-way and triple threat matches of any kind of tag teams should be a tornado match every time. It's kind of useless to do it any other way, in my opinion. Because it's like, your guy's getting beat up, by, say, the Butcher and the Blade are beating up on Matt Jackson. Why is Nick Jackson just sitting there on the sideline waiting for his brother, like watching his brother get beat up? It's no DQ. You can come in and beat him up. It's not that hard. I never got that, and I never understood that. Now, the Young Bucks look for Meltzer driver towards the end of this. Quinn stops that. Cassidy rolls them up. Looks like that's going to be the way, because that's the way they beat them at the tag team tournament last year. Looks like that's going to be it this time, but no. Matt reverses it into a 3 count for them, and the Young Bucks are your winners. Now, Isaiah Cassidy looks like, it's like 1, 2, and as the referee hits the 3 count, Isaiah Cassidy actually rolls out of the pin. So, honestly, if you look at the replays, it could be an argument that Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, like Isaiah Cassidy did get out at 3 or right before 3. But I don't know if they're going to bring that up. That's just me observing that. Maybe they set it up that way to make it look, to have him have some strength. Post-match, FTR moves from the commentary to the ring. The duo has their titles and beers in hand. They try to hand some beers to the Young Bucks, but they kick those away. All of a sudden, a guy with a face mask on, or a bandana on, and a hat, comes in, whacks one of the Young Bucks, cracks the brothers from behind with a chair. Spike power driver onto Nick. FTR beats up on Matt some more. They pull a chair around his ankle. Wheeler off the second rope and stomps down on the chair. The Masked Man was Tully Blanchard, as I figured. And the champ stood tall as the referee separate the two teams. Matt Jackson has been Pillmanized. And yeah, that is your tag team title match going into Full Gear. I cannot wait to see what happens. Now, early prediction, because I could be wrong later on, but I think that FTR is going to... I don't think they're going to have a conclusive winner. I think things are going to break down between those two teams, and something's going to happen to where, in the end, it's not going... Yeah, it's just going to be crazy. But AEW had another stellar show. Go watch Pentagon Jr. versus Ray Phoenix in this tournament, because, my God, that was a good match. Again, I want to see those two fighting over the TNT Championship, or even the World Championship. I don't care. Give me Pentagon versus Phoenix on pay-per-view. Just shut up and take my money. Put it on fucking pay-per-view at, hell, they can even put it on this next pay-per-view at Full Gear, because they ain't going to be doing anything else. But I want it to be for a title, and they're not going to be going for the world title. I could see, say, Cody goes and through Full Gear, keeps the championship, and keeps it till Revolution. And then you could have Cody, keeps it before Revolution, loses it in January or February, right before Revolution, and then you to Phoenix or Pentagon, and then you go to Revolution, you have the brother versus brother rematch for the TNT Championship. I would love that. But we will have to see what happens coming up in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. The Go Home Show is 2 weeks. Is 4 days. Is a day after. The Go Home Show is the day after the presidential election, which will be interesting to see how things go after all that. And then we have, of course, Full Gear 3 days later. But that is your AEW on TNT review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I will see you guys on Friday for the Go Home Show to Hell in a Cell. But until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.